Welcome back, everybody. I've got the bead locks over there, all taken apart and cleaned out. They were bad on the inside. Oh, by the way, this is I'm gonna build that rift, or at least I'm gonna get started on building that rift. As I pulled the the old rustler slash base guy apart, there's the castle 4600. So this is what came out of it. The castle 4600. This turns out it's a Spectrum that was in there, a 6020, which is that's a garbage servo, is what that is, and it is the Quick Run 10 BL 120, which, from what I understand, can run censored, but does not offer motor reversing. So I do have a couple older censored motors put away, but it's most likely going to be uncensored for now. Hopefully, it's the correct direction. I will hook up a motor with the colors correct. Fingers crossed that it rotates the correct direction. So that's what came out. Now, knowing that this is a garbage servo, and I mean, Traxxas makes some gold level stuff compared to these Spectrum offerings. Because I dug into the boxes, and what was also in there, another Spectrum, the 614. These are terrible. I think these two combine for less than 300 ounces of torque. So neither of those are going to go into a Rift. The only other two servos, I thought I had more servos. The only two homeless servos right now are a near vintage associated XP Digital 1510 MG and the good old Amazon 25K. So this one is going to be significantly quicker. It's an associated, probably just a rebadge of a Reedy. So it's a well-made servo, and it's lived for a long time. I believe this was the OE servo out of an SC8. It's probably just going to be this guy for now, which I think is great because I don't know, I don't know what this thing is going to need. So, I mean, it might get away with 25 kg. We will see. Or, well, whatever that thing actually makes. It's probably closer to 20. So, as mentioned, this is a 4600 kV 4-pole castle. That's probably too spicy. That might be a little too spicy. So if the fitment is limited to a 3650, I have a absolutely vintage take on 3650 3200 kV, which feels a little, it it could be smoother, but if there's a motor size limitation, it will be that guy. If there is not a motor size limitation, like if I have plenty of space, this is the Spectrum Firma 1900 kV. It is not a superb motor by any means, but it works, and it's here, and you'll notice it's very clean. This is the motor from an RTR laser nut. So, about the same size. Should be fine. So I have the basis of what I'm going to install. Hopefully a long can will fit. If a long can will fit, we are good to go. It does not say on the box. On the box, I'm looking down at the box. The box is down here. I'm looking down at the box. It just says electric motor. So let's start pulling this thing out of the box and see what it looks like. Actually, really quickly, due to the moving around of projects, that is the old MX3X with its receiver that came out of the rig that was just disassembled. And here is the GT5 and its receiver from when I just disassembled Jolly Green. So, it could be either. I don't plan on ever needing more than 3 channels for this. So, it could be either one. Now, when this arrived via A-Main, this is how the factory seals were. I mean, it was still all sealed up in the box, but it didn't appear that it had been opened, but the box was essentially open when I got to it. Decals, instructions will be important. Oh, there are the Yeah, most of this box. Let's go a little wide here. Most of this box is the tires. Let's turn this aside here. Yeah, I can see that. An axle. Let's just get everything out. It's definitely the body. There's more of the body. Sway bar, chassis. Wow. All right. Yike. Ooh. That's got to be gearbox. That is heavy. And there are the trailing arms and links. That's a lot of bags. That's a real lot of bags. I don't honestly. Okay. Can we get alphabetical here? Is there even enough room? Let's move the swampers. This one, I'm going to try to keep this a little condensed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this sorted out. Get this. Get this put. Oh, there's A. Oh, okay. A. Get this all sorted out, and then I'm going to start building it. And I will chime in whenever I have questions, comments, concerns, or anything I think is worth mentioning. The F. It's another C bag. G, G, G. And then for some reason this is F. That is a lot of bags. That's a lot of bags. What is in there? Battery strap and some other stuff. All right. I'm going to start, I'm going to bust into the manual. And I'm going to see what this is like. And I'm assuming if it's like most crawler type operations, we build the axles first. So I'll do that, and I'll let you know what that's like. If you should ever find yourself in this position, it sort of illuminates how well companies like Traxxas and Vanquish do this sort of thing. As until you start cutting the myriad bags open, it's really unclear how it's going to go. Like, there were 2 bags of output gears. Here's one from bag 1 and here's one from bag 2. Like, those look like different parts. And then they give you one optional spool adapter. And then they give you all the parts and seals to make 3 gear diffs. And they give you a very leaky tub of million weight, which is going to be a nightmare to work with. So I think what I am going to do, well, I take that back. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to set these pieces aside and those aside. I need those. Also, the shims and seals for 3 diffs are in 2 bags. I know it's a very minor thing, but why would you do that? So I am going to build the front and rear diffs packed with the million, and I'm going to put a spool in the middle, because after some time running around in an Arma Limitless, which has nothing in the middle, it basically uses 2 pinion gears in the middle. It's a pretty crazy thing. I like the idea of no center diff. So this thing is going spool all the way in the middle. And it's going to be really fun and messy to deal with the frozen maple syrup that is million weight. Luckily, it does not look like these are tremendous volume in there once all the gears have been stuck in. So I'm going to get these put together, and then I will ruminate a little more on how that process went. So those went together exactly as one would expect. I grabbed a drive shaft, something with flats, to give this little turn to see how tight it was, and it moves. So that made me read the manual a little more closely, and I believe in the where is it? In the fine print somewhere here. Yes, on step A3, fill differential completely with 1 million weight oil. But it's not. Had to dig for it in the trash bag. You'll read there 1 million centistoke gear oil. There's a significant difference there. We can illuminate that very easily. 500 centistokes is 40 weight. So 1,000 centistokes is 80 weight, which means that a million centistoke is 1,000 thousandths, so that would be 80,000 weight, which is, in differential terms, actually pretty light. Like, I know Traxxas sells 250,000 weight, and I know there is million weight, and million weight is basically silly putty. 1 million centistoke is, while very thick, you will see, I mean, it's a little thicker than honey. So we're not talking locked out. So it's definitely not like a spool. Like, I'm just grabbing the CBD here and I can turn it. So that makes me even happier that I've gone with a spool for the center. And if this thing is going to attempt rock crawling of any kind, I'm gonna have to either clean that. Well, I'll have to clean that goop out one way or another. But I'm not ruling out spools even for higher speed driving. I just wanted to point out that the manual does indeed state 1 million weight, and there's a vast difference between million weight and million centistoke. So on to step A. Oh no, I'm done with the A's. On to B, which is putting axles together, which should be pretty quick. Stuff I do appreciate. Inside the axle housing, rubber sealed for the outer, metal shielded for the inner, just the way it ought to be. The gears do, at least to my semi-trained eye, appear to be machined. That's good. No cast. They look machined to me. If they are cast and then finished, machine finished, they're really well done compared to a lot that I've seen. So that's good. Whenever I build a kit, it is my general intention to use all of the stuff included by the manufacturer. Unfortunately, the thread lock, there's a thin layer of it on the inside of the bottle, and the rest is completely hardened. I won't be getting any out of that. The grease is very light, like super lube light. And what that means is, like, I mean, I gotta say, we will see in a moment how it feels when it's all put together. But as the thread lock is not thread lock anymore, it'll be the good old Vibratight. Well, I do think that this axle might be the culmination, the ultimate end game of the OCP, off-centered pumpkin design. There is some stuff that I must say I do appreciate. I don't want to sound like I hate everything, you know. I don't. Like, please focus for me. L. Nice. See? And then we've got some double shear. I mean, look at that. That is beefcake. And then, in place of your traditional kingpin, we have kingpins. So an actual pin goes all the way down in there. It's got a nice stop, so it won't travel any farther. And then And again, not to hate things, but these are just the things that pop into my head when I'm building stuff like this. See, I am 1,000% behind that. Like, that's not going to back out. That's not going to fall out. And it's buttery smooth, as it should be, because it's not partially threaded. I'm not a real fan of how most do it. Just holds that pin in. Very nice. But at the same time, 2 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 1.5, 2.5. So just by this point, as going through the steps, I am doing B6 right now. Just up to the 6th step in the B bag, I've had to change bits half a dozen times. I love that Vanquish is just like, let's put socket caps on everything, and you almost never have to change. Once you've finished like building the differentials, you almost never have to change the bit. You're just running the same size bit to build the whole truck. This axle is going together very nicely. All the tolerances are excellent. All the parts fit together really well. My solitary complaint with the axle assembly is, I mean, it has to be built in order, so you're probably going to have to go back and forth between tools one way or the other. I am still trying to figure out. Oh, I get those are just. Oh, I guess they're adjustable. They're adjustable travel stops. Just seems honestly like you're taking steering throw. Is it for Ackerman? I mean, like I say, I never read ahead. So we will potentially find out what that is about later. As I said, with that extremely lightweight oil, very, very, very free spinning. So I'm happy with that. I don't know why. Part of me thought that the axles were going to be the gray-white that everything else is. I'm really glad they're not. But I'm going to finish buttoning this one up, and let's see if bag C is the rear axle. Nope. Got to do some Lynx next. So it's finishing up the full axle assembly, and then whatever comes after that. That was relatively straightforward, and while I readily admit I'm certainly not the sharpest tool in the shed, certainly not the sharpest tool in this shed specifically, I did get to the part where I sort of stared confuzzled at it when I had to assemble the servo saver there. I think all it would have needed is an arrow. Just give me an arrow that says that way. But it's that piece, then that piece, then that piece in that one. You can't do it on that one. You have to do it in that one. So it took me a couple tries. I felt like I was endumining, but we got there, and the servo is slapped into place. And with servo and axle, a 25 kg Amazon servo might be enough. As said, these are ginormous. So if I have to put a more powerful servo in there, I have to put a more powerful servo in there. We will see. It's got a nice, that's not just silver, it's actually, I mean, it's like, it's like cast pot metal, but at least we've got a metal cover there. And like I say, very, very nice. The oil's very lightweight. The steering looks fine. Again, this is a rock bouncer, so we're not talking about a crawler amount. This isn't going to throw like a crawler axle, but I think it will probably be enough. So I'm going to build the other one that looks mostly like this, but should be slightly fewer bags. As anticipated, the rear axle is much the same as the front, just fewer bags. And because I've got some previous experience, as we've got two sizes of fasteners, I just did all the 2.5s first, and then did the twos, 2.5s. The bigger, I did the bigger ones first, and then switched to the smaller ones, which is what I didn't attach this first because this is, to me, this is very clever. They have the axle insert. We've got double bearing support. So nice. And once again, they are marked left, right. Get that dialed in there. And then it's just two screws straight in from the end, which effectively double walls the whole end of the axle, which I think is smart. So there are front and rear axles, and they are some wide boys. Actually, let's go like this. It's gonna go like that. When I ordered this, I didn't even look at stuff like what's the wheelbase. I just assume with how wide that is and how big the tires are, long. This is gonna be pretty long, yeah. Coming up next is Lynx, trailing arms, and then start putting the transmission together. I haven't found out yet. I'm sure someone will chime in the comments. I don't know if it comes with the parts for the 2-speed. It has the instructions for the 2-speed. If it has the parts for the 2-speed, I love a 2-speed. I am absolutely putting a 2-speed in it. And it's probably set up the usual axial way, where the only way the 2-speed works by default is with that tiny, awful Spectrum SX107 servo, but I don't care. I will figure out a mount if necessary to put in a half height, or I mean, I've got some micros if that's the case. I don't like them, but anyway, once again, getting ahead of myself, I will get the Lynx put together, and that should be very straightforward, and we'll move on from there.
I was going to say something along the lines of, if you've built Lynx, you've built Lynx. They're much like shocks or anything else. They're 90% like any other shock or link. But I would like to point out a couple of things as this tried to catch me up. You'll notice silver hollow balls on this end and black hollow balls on that end. The silver are 7 millimeters wide and the black are 9.5. So you got to pay attention. Pretty much, if it has an offset end, it has a skinny one in it, and if it's got a straight end, it's got a thick one in it. As far as the trailing arms go, I mean, they're pretty little things. Look at all those pieces. But what I will say is, this really seems like an opportunity where, like, this could be one piece. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there, and even with all that reinforcement, I think if a problem should arise at any time in the future, I think it's going to arise right there. So those went together relatively straightforward. I actually had to do this thing that I don't ordinarily do, which is read ahead, because it really wasn't clicking with me. I was like, how come half the hollow balls are silver and half of them are black? I guess for a good reason, because if they were all one color, this would be some kind of a nightmare. So props on that. I mean, at the same time, that's a double-edged sword. Great that they're different colors, but is it 100% necessary that we have two different widths of ball? I don't know. I'm only to step D1, so that's all I got for now.
So as much as I enjoy what I would call the elegance of like the Traxxas 2-speed gearbox, this thing is a beefy monster. There's a 23 tooth up there, and then back here is a 30. So that's a pretty good difference between first and second. I don't know what gear is in right there. Yeah. That's low. And the question as to whether or not this thing is specifically set up for a micro, well, that's pretty much answered. There are the little tabs right there. It's just going to come down to how much room is there, because these look sturdy enough. I don't think there's anything saying I can't fabricate a plate because, oh, hold on. So obviously what they're going to want is, you know, a little micro in there like that. I don't know what the end looks like. I mean, I can, like I say, I don't read ahead. That's the only way I can see this going. So if that's how that goes, I don't think there's anything saying I can't build an adapter bracket that comes off of this and just mount a big full-size somehow. I will figure out how to way to get this in here no matter what, because I really don't like micros. So if I don't have to use a micro, I won't use one. But I mean, we're talking Mod 1. They're definitely, I mean, if they are cast, they're not powder metal. Like these are gears. And as I was putting this thing together, I was starting to think, I was like, all right, this thing is getting, like, this gearbox is getting pretty big. Like, that's a hefty boy, which is promising, because it does not appear then that this is just the repurposed gearbox out of something else. Then I started getting deeper into the bags. I just had to make sure those were the same length. And I got a hold of the next step, the step after this. That bag is already open. And everything about this is a burly boy. There we go. So actually, this would be a lot easier to turn if we slapped on this absolute monster. I'm no great fan of metal spurs. I've made that known in the past. Good grief. Oh, that is tight fitment. So any concern I had about motor size, that's pretty much right out the window. They recommend a Spectrum 2200 kV. So I've got the 1900. Where did he go? There he goes. And that should drop. Looks like there'll be no fitment issue whatsoever with that. And as I've said, that is a temporary motor, most likely. I mean, you certainly can't crawl rock with it. The included pinion is a 17. And as I'm going a little under their 2200 recommendation, I am indeed going to bolt that up with the 17. Because if you don't own one, and you were trying to mentally envision, like, how big is a Ryft? And, oh. This is not going to be a quiet machine, I do not think. If you were trying to kind of give yourself a mental picture of the size of it, And I've also mentioned in other videos I'm not a huge fan of gear covers. But in situations like this, yeah, gear cover. That's a chainsaw in there. And odds are this thing will get some kind of a censored motor in it or a full censored system, because I do indeed have the option of digging into other rigs here, and I've still got some by today's standards vintage Mamba Max Pros MMPs in rigs, so I could go to a proper censored setup, you know, with reversible motor direction and adjustable timing and all of that. But if I had any questions as to how big is this thing, I guess this goes like I don't know how this goes, but there's the center chassis, and there's a front axle and a rear axle. And yeah, so it'd be about there. So pretty big wheelbase in that, like, I mean, again, I haven't looked it up, but it looks like the wheelbase 17, 18 inches. But we will find out in the next one, as I'm gonna try to do this in sort of digestible pieces. I'm definitely impressed by the fit and finish of the gearbox. That is a serious piece, and I think it will manage to handle some brutality. I can't get over the width of that skid. It's monstrous. So as long as nothing interferes. And I don't know why I can't just... Right there. Hey. I feel like I'm definitely going to have room to fit a low pro in there for shifting. Because, as one may or may not know, they give you the little bits. But, like, that's the part that would go, like, a yoke will go around here, and then this part will go on there, and that's how it'll shift. But this little piece needs another little piece that goes to it. And that little piece only comes when you buy a Spectrum SX107 little micro servo. A, that servo is terrible. B, it uses some sort of, like, 21 tooth spline or something. Very annoying. There's room. There's a plate that goes here. I've looked ahead a step, and they mount the speed control right there. So I'm gonna have clearance. I mean, if worst case scenario, I will build an extended plate. I will not use their plastic plate. I will build an aluminum plate. I will mount this servo upside down like that, and it will do this. Doesn't have to move very far. This guy is going in there for shifting duties one way or another. And this, I've almost 100% decided, will be the, because that's the third channel. And when you shift it, high, low. I mean, that was built for a 2-speed gearbox. So that will be the radio for sure. The next part of this is where chassis assembly should start. The next steps are actually shocks and then building the chassis and putting all the links together. So I should be able to get this thing to roller status in the next one, depending on what jiggery pokery has to be done to accomplish shifting duties without a micro, as I don't have one of those little pieces. I don't know what happened to it. But then there's the possibility of just machining some. I might get this. the dream is to get this bit to fit onto something else. Anyway, once again, I'm straying into the next episode. So thanks for watching this one, the first part of building the Crawler Canyon Resident Rift. No real problems. The fit and finish seems really great. The parts are nice. I'm really pleased with how it's going so far. I'm anxious to keep going, but I've been informed by those in charge that I have exceeded my daily RC quotient. So I have to move on to adult-like tasks. Well, hey, one of those tasks is turning on the barbecue. So you know what? It's like a win-win. So thanks for watching, everybody. Tune in for the next one. This should turn into something. And once again, I'm super anxious to drive it. So I hope you want to see how that goes as much as I do. Have a good one, everybody.